In today's video, I want to answer a few important questions with regards to work-related burnout. What are the signs of burnout? Does burnout only relate to the job, or can you feel burnt out in other areas of your life as well? And if you really need to tell your manager that you're burnt out, or if there are any other options. So let's get started. Hi, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Arndt, and I'm a peak performance coach and stress management trainer. And I'm really excited that you are watching this video today because maybe you're struggling with the question, how do I tell my manager that I'm feeling burnt out? Something that feels probably already super vulnerable. And I totally get it because just a couple of years ago, I experienced my own work-related burnout and I had to talk with my manager and I took a 3 months medical leave. So I totally speak from experience and I really hope that the information that I provide in today's video is helpful for you. And I'm already going to say it up front. If you have any questions, if you feel like you need to talk to me, you can find all of the contact information to me in the show notes below. And you can also, of course, always leave a comment or leave a question if there's anything else that you're struggling with. So let's jump into the first question, which is, how do you actually know that you're burnt out? Because there's a little bit of a difference between feeling burnt out and actually having a medical condition that is related to burnout, depression, and anxiety, so a mental health condition. And if you have burnout, if you have that medical condition, you can take a medical leave. And you should take it because I'm going to talk about this at the end of today's video as well, but it's really important that you are taking care of yourself. Nobody else will do it for you, okay? So first of all, so what are the signs for feeling burnt out? When I had my burnout in 2018, I really did not feel like myself anymore. That was actually the biggest sign for me that I needed to start and take action because I didn't feel like myself anymore. I was really unhappy and I had constantly really negative thoughts on my mind. I felt physically burnt out and I was just really lost. And when I went to the doctor, they actually gave me a health assessment in order to assess how I was doing. And it was related to anxiety and depression, and it's really powerful. And you can find these tests online, and I'm going to link one of the tests in the show notes below as well if you want to understand where you are on the anxiety depression scale. So those are already two signs that you are feeling burnt out. Number one, you feel like you're not yourself anymore. Number two, you go through a health assessment and it is really clear, black on white, that you are not really good anymore, that you're not really well anymore. And finally, of course, there's a lot of physical and mental signs that show you, hey, something is not really going right anymore. And those signals can be really subtle at the beginning. And of course, the longer you ignore them, the worse they will get. So for example, you can't sleep. Maybe you have a lot of negative thoughts all the time. Maybe you're really unhappy. Maybe you're worrying all the time. Maybe you feel really restless, really irritable. You have difficulty to focus. You have difficulty to concentrate. All of these things are signs that you might be burnt out and you should take a closer look at that, okay? So really important, first of all, before you tell your manager that you are burnt out, make sure all of the signs speak for you being burnt out. The second question that you might be asking yourself is, can burnout only relate to the job? Or can you also feel burnt out in other areas of your life? And in order to answer this question, let's look at the definition of burnout. Burnout is a state of emotional, mental, and often physical exhaustion brought on by prolonged or repeated stress. And although burnout oftentimes relates to work-related stress, it can also appear in any other area of your life. No matter if you are taking care of children, no matter if you are in a romantic relationship or you are caretaking, there's many other areas of your life where you can feel burnt out. Now that you know what burnout is and what the signs of burnout are, you might have really identified with, yes, I have burnout. And now comes the next really important question, which is, how do you tell your manager that you're burnt out? First of all, it is really important that you are clear on why you want to have this conversation with your manager. Do you want to ask your manager to cut back on your workload? Do you want to set better boundaries? Do you want to have better working hours? Then this is one of the reasons why you want to speak to your manager. Or you have decided that you want to take a medical leave because you don't see any other way at the moment to get better and feel better about yourself. And it is really important that you are clear on that. Maybe it is a combination of both. Maybe you need to take a medical leave at first in order to reset yourself and make sure that you take care of yourself. And of course, when you're going back to work, you also need to make sure that you're not going back into the old habits. That is why I created the peak performance method in the first place. The peak performance method, by the way, if you're watching one of my videos for the very first time, is the method that I created to help people prevent burnout in the first place. So there's different tools that I think that you need to master in order to be always healthy and sustain your performance. And if you are interested in any of these topics, of course, make sure to check out any other videos on my YouTube channel because they all relate to how you can sustain your performance. So it is really important that obviously when you get back to work that you're also having a conversation about workload, boundaries, time management, self-care, all these different things. So really, really important. First of all, get clear on why do you want to have this conversation. And the reason why I'm telling you this, the reason why it is really, really important that you are clear on what you want is because once you are clear on that, you have two other options. If you are deciding that you want to take a medical leave, you might not even need to have a conversation with your manager because in countries like the US, for example, you don't need to disclose any medical information to your manager or even to your HR department in your company. You have the right to basically go to the doctor, get a medical leave, and not tell anyone why you are not showing up to work. This might feel uncomfortable, and it's of course absolutely up to you on what you want to do, but it is important for me that you know that you have that option. Because here's the thing, when I had my burnout in 2018, I decided to not have a conversation with my manager because I understood that I actually had the option to not disclose any information, and all I had to do was to tell my manager that I'm going to take a medical leave. I did not tell him why I'm taking the medical leave. I did not tell my HR department why I'm taking a medical leave. I basically just went to the doctor, got a medical leave certification, and stayed at home. And it's really important that you know that this is an option because it might feel really, really uncomfortable and really vulnerable at the moment to have this conversation because you are already feeling super stressed out and you feel really emotional and you just simply maybe don't have a great relationship with your manager and you don't want to put that extra pressure on yourself. So know that this is an option. You do not have to tell your manager that you're burnt out if you are deciding to take a medical leave. So if you are considering this, I highly recommend to you to search your intranet for any information on how to take medical leaves, because usually all of this information is available and you just need to look for it. So make sure that you're doing that. Make sure that you're doing some research. This can really help you to feel a little bit more comfortable as well. Because again, I remember at the time when I went through all of these different things, I had so many different questions, right? If I do take a medical leave, will I continue to get paid, for example? Also a really important question, which can put a lot of pressure and a lot of stress on us. And so once you have these answers, you might even be a lot more comfortable to just tell yourself, okay, I really need this time off and I'm going to take it, okay? So really, really important. Make sure that you are clear on why you want to speak to your manager. If you decide to take a medical leave, then you do not have to disclose this information usually to your manager and the HR department. Obviously, you need to find that out, but there are internal resources available. You can maybe chat or email somebody in order to get some information. And make sure that you are setting yourself up for success even during this difficult time, because I know it's a difficult time because you feel lost and you don't really know what to do and it feels super uncomfortable to take some time off, but you feel like it's the only last resort. Finally, maybe you decide that you are okay. You are not at the super crazy burnout stage just yet, but you need to take a break, or you need to just set better boundaries. And in that regard, yes, maybe you need to speak to your manager and you need to set better boundaries, and you need to have a really honest conversation about workload. And so now let's really answer the question, how do you tell your manager that you're burnt out, or that you're overwhelmed, or that you're really stressed, or that you have a lot of things on your plate right now and you need a little bit of their help? First of all, let me tell you, I know that this conversation can feel super uncomfortable. Maybe you don't really have a super good relationship. Maybe you have a very professional relationship with your manager, but you've never talked about anything personal, or you've never talked about something emotional, or maybe you even feel like you don't really want to have such a personal, emotional conversation with your manager because you are afraid that you're going to burst out crying and you would feel super embarrassed about this. Let me tell you, we are all human beings. We are all human beings, and your manager is a human being too. And even though they might seem really professional and really unemotional, they also have emotions. And usually, I would say in 95% of the cases, they will understand if you need some time off. So don't beat yourself up and just kind of, take that step, even though it feels really vulnerable, and have that conversation with your manager. And in order to set yourself up for success, I always highly advise you to be prepared for this meeting as well. So make sure that you set up some time with your manager and make sure that you are really clear on what you want the outcome of this meeting to be. Do you just want to tell your manager that you're feeling overwhelmed? Or do you want to have a clear action plan in place at the end of the conversation in order to know how you're going to cut back on workload? What kind of boundaries you want to set? What is important for you in your life? Be really clear on that before you speak to your manager, because you know what? Oftentimes, managers don't really know any better either. They will probably ask you the question, what do you need? And you should be prepared for this question. What do you need? So be really clear on that. Think about it, take some notes, and then set up that meeting with your manager. One more thing that I want you to think about as well is, how much do you want to tell your manager? Because sometimes it might feel, again, really uncomfortable to have this conversation because maybe you feel like you're showing weakness, which I can tell you right now, you're not showing weakness when you're having such an honest and open conversation. You're showing strength and you're showing courage, that you are standing up for yourself. It is really important. So be really clear as well, not just what the outcome of the meeting should be, but also what do you want to disclose? What do you want to say? And this is important as well because, again, you don't have to disclose everything, It is really important that you know that. So be really clear on what you'd want to tell your manager. So the final thing that is left to say here in this video today is that I want you to remember that we are all human beings. I said this before, but I want to say it again. Sometimes we feel like people are cool and they are strong, and behind the scenes, they are also struggling, just like you are struggling. And by opening up, you are opening up yourself to have a really deep conversation with somebody that's important in your work life. And you know what? Even if they don't understand, it does not matter. Because at the end of the day, what really matters is that you are well. Because as I said at the beginning of this video, nobody will take this step for you. You need to take the courage to do this. And I really hope that you're not waiting until you're feeling super burnt out and you really can't walk anymore because you are feeling so lost and you're feeling maybe so many physical symptoms that you literally have no other choice. Don't wait that long. Maybe the first step today is to have the conversation with your manager because you don't feel like you are already at the super crazy burnout stage yet, but you are on a really good track to get there. So make sure that you take care of yourself. It is so important. It is so important because the only thing that you have in your life is your own personal well-being. And if that is not there anymore, You can't do anything else. You can't take care of other people. You can't take care of yourself. You can't take care of your work. Everything will suffer from you not being well. So do me a favor, take care of yourself. If this feels really vulnerable and emotional right now, I totally get it. Like I told you before, I've been there and I know that it is really difficult, but just know that you are not alone. And if you feel like you need to speak with somebody about this, I am always here for you. So I already mentioned it at the beginning of the video, but you can find my contact information below in the show notes here below this video, because I know what it feels like to go through this stage. And I know it's not easy, but you taking the first step to watch this video is the first step to inform yourself on how you can get better. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave them below the video. I am more than happy to answer anything that's on your mind, and I really hope that you will take care of yourself. So thank you so much for watching this video today, and I hope to see you in the next one.